since we saw that fight, dominant performance by Canelo. What's next for Canelo Alvarez? We'll get to the post-fight interview because he said something. And then what do you think his path is gonna be?
Well, Jim Gray asked him, "Hey, Canelo, who are you going to fight next? When are you going to fight next? Is it going to be Cinco de Mayo? Is it going to be Benavidez? Is it going to be whoever?" And then Canelo Alvarez was like, "I don't fucking care."
That was probably one of the best Canelo post-fight interviews ever. You could tell he was feeling good. And he doesn't care. Like, even coming into this fight, Bryan sent me like a tweet where Canelo was like, "Oh, like they're like the same. It doesn't matter if I was gonna fight Maul or Mel." Like, he knew he was good, like he was gonna get it tonight in the ring. You know what I mean?
He said the same shit. They were like, "Yo, he was asked some form of, do you care that you're gonna fight Jermell and not Jermell?" Like, I don't care. They're twins. They look the same. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, you don't give a fuck. So and look, as you told me yesterday in a personal conversation, you were like, "Look, as you get older, you start to not give a shit." And Canelo Alvarez is 33 and he probably doesn't give a shit anymore. So I think ultimately, Terrence Crawford's name has been floated out there, and I guess we can talk about this now. I don't I don't know if I want to see Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford just because, like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around the weight disparity, and people definitely
But
chime in if you could see that fight. But Shantelle, you laid out a scenario where I was like, okay, I could probably get around this one.
well, for those wondering, Terrence Crawford fights at welterweight 147, and we know that Canelo Alvarez just fought at 168. Let them meet at 160. That's a dream fight that I can get with. Canelo comes down to 160 pounds, which he's fought at that weight before. And then we get Bud to move up to 160, and it's not him going all the way to 168 because I don't want to see Bud fight at 168. But I think at 160, this can be a dream fight that we can look forward to. And it's going to be the biggest fight that we will ever see in this era. Like, we said that about Bud and Spence, but if Canelo and Bud fought, that would be the biggest fight in like 2 decades, would it not?
Probably. By the way, this was Canelo Alvarez's 60th win. Like, I can't remember the last time somebody got to 60 wins and still is like at the end of their peak, but still in their peak. Because I would say Canelo Alvarez is still like I don't know how much longer he's gonna be like this level, but he's still at that level, right? Still that dude. And I'm looking up right now to see when was the last time he actually fought at middleweight because it's been a while.
Yeah,
And
it's been a minute.
this is why I don't think this fight's gonna happen ultimately, because Danny Jacobs is, I think, the last time that was in 2019. So actually a little bit more recent than I thought, but still, he's had a lot of fights since then because after Danny Jacobs, he went up to light heavyweight and fought Sergey Kovalev.
Yeah, not the same Kovalev, back in the day, but Canelo with a
Yeah, this is
very impressive
post
victory
Andre
over him.
Ward, Kovalev. But yeah, I think if you could do that, then fine. But I'd rather see Canelo Alvarez fight David Benavidez. Now, it's been either rumored or announced. I don't think it's been formally announced yet, but it's been rumored, reported that David Benavidez is actually supposed to fight Demetrius Bubu Andrade in November. And on that same card, Jermall Charlo is supposed to fight Jose Benavidez, not David Benavidez, different guy. Jose Benavidez was stopped by Terrence Crawford some years ago, lost to Danny Garcia last year. So good, but not David Benavidez.
But he was supposed to be, remember, and then he got shot. He was supposed to be like David Benavidez. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, come on. He went through some stuff. He was supposed to be that guy. There was a lot of
I
hype.
wasn't expecting that to get blunt there. I made the face of the meme, like I forget the dude's
Hey,
name from that
they did
show, but like,
they did a whole like package. Like, when you're in media, they call those packages when you see like those stories that come about the fighters when you're watching like the pay-per-views. They did a whole package on Jose Benavidez and like what he went through. And listen, he was in Creed, like he's living life, right? Like he was in Creed 3. You didn't even see Creed 3, so you don't watch movies,
no,
right?
I haven't watched Creed.
Okay.
I saw Creed 1. I haven't seen 2 or 3 for whatever reason, and I heard that the video game that came out for the movie is whack. But like, look, that's supposed to happen. So David Benavidez, if you win that fight against Demetrius Andrade in November, yes, that's the leading candidate for me. David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend. I think that's the best opponent that Canelo Alvarez could have right now in his weight class.
For me, going back to the whole Bud Crawford conversation, of course, if I could get Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, that's like a dream fight. If they could do that 160, I'd be with it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's one of those things that fans just might want to see, but it would be the biggest moneymaker for them. Like they
Crawford is crazy enough to go up to 168 and do
he's
it.
Not scared. He's
I
not
know,
scared.
but like,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, like, it's like people talking about Naoya Inoue versus Gervonta Davis, and it's like, realistically, and it's a testament to how good Crawford and Inoue are. That it's like, yo, what if they came up like a million weight classes to fight, you know, the best guy in that? And it's like, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But listen, I'll watch the shit out of it. I'm just gonna be like, man, is Terrence Crawford really gonna be able to hurt somebody at 168?
Yeah, I know. I think 160 is more reasonable. And by the way, guys, keep the comments coming. We are going to get to your comments in just a moment as we run through what happened with this fight. But yeah, I want to see him against David Benavidez. I need to see him against David Benavidez. And here's the thing. I think we need to really start putting more respect on Canelo Alvarez's name after this performance against an undisputed champion, because I think for a very long time after he lost to Bivol, people were just saying, you know what, Canelo's done. Like that was kind of the conversation. He loses to Bivol, but remember, he's moving up in weight. And like people are thinking he's gonna like clean out weight classes, right? Remember, there was even a time where people were like, you know what if he moves up and fights a guy like, was it Beterbiev? It was like crazy. Like we thought Canelo was moving up, but for him to dominate against an undisputed champion, I know he's an undisputed champion in a different weight class, but this was a fight where everyone was saying, listen, I even at one point I was one of those people that was like, yo, is Canelo ducking Charlo? Like, is he ducking the Charlo brothers? Like, that was a narrative for a guy like Canelo. Then he puts on this masterclass performance. So I think the Bud Crawford fight next for Canelo, that's like a dream fight. I don't see it happening. If they fight at 160, I'm with it. But the fight that we all want to see is Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. And this would be a great fight. You know how much I love Mexican fighters. You're talking about Canelo from Mexico, and then you're talking about David Benavidez, a Mexican-American. Like, just that alone makes it a crazy fight, right? And we're talking two generations, essentially. I think that's a blockbuster fight. I think they could do it Cinco de Mayo weekend, and it would be insane, right? I'm telling you, it would be absolutely insane. So let us know who you think Canelo Alvarez should fight next, who you would like to see him fight next. I think that's the next fight to make. And I think once Canelo, if he was to fight David Benavidez, and you guys can comment on this, if he was to beat David Benavidez, then
he'll be the favorite.
What else? He will. He
that.
definitely will. But I think David Benavidez definitely has a chance to beat Canelo. I think I might put money on him, even though Canelo just won. And I'm like, let's give him more props. And I'm like, yeah, I might take David. I just think it's a great matchup stylistically as well. And I just think, though, if he does end up getting that David Benavidez fight, beats David Benavidez, like, what else can you say about Canelo other than him arguably being one of the best boxers we've ever seen?
I'll also say that if David Benavidez beats Demetrius Andrade, because that's not a layup either.
No.
You know? And then if Andrade because Andrade's good enough to beat David Benavidez. We've been waiting how long for Demetrius Andrade to have a big fight, a meaningful fight, and he's finally got one. He's well into his 30s at this point. I think he's 35 at this point, but finally got one. And if he beats David Benavidez, I'd see Canelo and Demetrius Andrade, because then Demetrius Andrade will be having a different conversation with him. So I'm curious to see what the betting line is going to be for that also.